All right, Rossi, we're going to kick off this Saturday night's main event preview on YouTube and go over Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a steel cage match. Are you surprised we're getting this at Saturday night's main event?
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I mean, I figured that the feud was going to continue coming out of Backlash, but I thought that we were going to get a lot of stuff that like maybe didn't make Backlash, and maybe this would be kind of a blow off on Money in the Bank. But cage matches feels like a good show opener because they've got 2 hours to piss through, and they'll probably want to have the cage set up when they start the show, so it's a little bit easier later. But yeah, I mean, it definitely surprised me that they're coming to it right away, but I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's haven't been much of a trope in recent booking history where you have like bang, 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 3 matches consecutively. And we're going to get in this here. Not really a one-on-one, but they were involved in the U.S. And then, of course, they had the very good match at WrestleMania, street fight, hardcore match, whatever you want to say. And then we get the cage match here. So these guys have been at each other's throats for a little over a year off and on, but pretty much hot and heavy since the Royal Rumble. So it's going to have a good spot, interesting spot. I feel that honestly, Priest needs it a little bit more.
I agree. Why I think it's Drew though is like Priest kind of got the upper hand at Backlash on him, by giving him the move off the what was that? What was the move? South of Heaven off the whatever through the tables. So I kind of feel like instead of beating Drew, that was their way to have Priest one up him in a big spot. I still think Priest, if he was to lose the feud, he can still kind of maybe come off TV for a couple of weeks and come back and kind of get kickstarted again. So I don't think he'd be like buried or anything with a loss. I feel like Drew would be, with the amount of losing he's done over the last few years, him losing this spot might, be tougher. I mean, he's bulletproof to an extent, but kind of his story as a badass kind of would be missing something if he lost this.
It's like they're both bulletproof to an extent, but at what level are they bulletproof to, right?
Right.
Because you have Drew like always on the ceiling of that upper tier, but he never really seems to break through to it. And then you have Priest on probably the tier below, always on the ceiling, looking to break through, and beating Drew in a feud like this would break him through. But I feel that for the rest of 2025, creatively, Drew McIntyre is probably going to be a little bit more important and relied on. So I feel that, yeah, he could be bulletproof, but like booking could get either of these guys out. But I'm very interested in this kind of conclusion because it might tell you instantly what's going on with maybe perhaps a draft lingering too as well. So I don't know. I don't want to say you have 2 vulnerable champions, but you have 2 potential challengers either way, in my eyes.
Yeah, Drew can fit in with either. Drew's like kind of sneakily like somebody I was thinking about for Money in the Bank too, because he's somebody that can kind of torment both of them, Cena and Jay. And it's just, but I don't know, maybe this being 2 weeks before that show kind of eliminates that. But say he was to win a Money in the Bank, then yeah, he could lose this no problem,
They could always throw that label of a qualifier into this cage matches too, as well, right?
Right.
We have another SmackDown ahead of us as well, as we're, a week out from Saturday night's main event. So you never know. They could do something like that, but perhaps not. But what I will say, Mike, is there's been a history of cage matches at Saturday night's main event, mainly around Hulk Hogan, right? Orndorff in January 87, and then Bossman in May of 89 are historically known, of course. So I'm curious if they will play into that. I'm sure they will. They've played into nostalgia in the past immensely with these Saturday night's main events, as they should. So I wonder if, with Hulk being in both of those, I'm curious what they kind of throw out there. And mind you, Mike, both of those matches were won via Escape. So I wonder if Escape kind of gives the loser a loophole as well, too.
True, and this would be a great time to bring back the blue cage. If they're ever gonna do it, this is the time.
Hell yeah.
I mean, did they use them? I guess were they still already using the blue cage in the 80s? I think so.
Yeah, no doubt. That's when they kind of invented it.
Yeah. So if they want to fit the nostalgia, then if you're ever going to use that blue cage, this is the time to do it.
No, absolutely. That's probably the call of the night so far, Mike. But all right, Priest is a former Money in the Bank winner, and he cashed in and won on Drew. Drew is a Money in the Bank winner last year, cashed in and lost. I don't see Priest winning Money in the Bank, but I do see Drew, if he's in it, kind of having to win. The reason I bring that up again, Mike, is there's a significance that was brought on last guys around these PLE that John Cena and both these guys are the only people that have competed in every PLE. Now, PLE does not retain to Saturday night's main event. because Saturday night's main event, they did not compete at in January. So what I'm saying is unlikely that these guys are in Money in the Bank is your feeling because of this, or do you think if there's not a qualifier, only one will kind of last? And is there any meaning to them pumping up that these guys are in every PLE?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely workhorse guys. Like, these guys did that crazy spot and both had injuries coming out of it. It seems like Priest ended up being worse for wear. And, despite that, 2 weeks later, they're coming right back to the well. So these guys are very versatile. I think that we've seen that both of these guys can work as a babyface, can work as a heel, and pretty well in both. And you can't say that about everybody. So I actually think Drew might be better. He might be the one that's, if one of these four struggle at one of those, it's probably Drew as a baby. But either way, I think that these guys continue to show how important they are to this roster. They can get tossed in and out of the main title picture at any point. And, they feel like guys that no matter what happens to them from a win or loss perspective, they're going to be fine and they can just get reinserted into something. I mean, we were talking a couple weeks ago about how Priest and Fatu kind of seem like a fun direction at some point, but Fatu's kind of heavily leaning babyface now himself. And then obviously he's tied into everything with Solo again. So I think a draft will probably split these guys up again at some point, whether it's Drew going to Raw or whatnot. But either way, I mean, these guys are super indispensable to this company. And I think that it's going to be a good showcase for them on NBC,
Like I'm personally most interested in the why now at Saturday night's main event. And now I really want that blue cage. I wish you got like a steel leg cage looking behind it, but putting the blue cage would be really cool. I would honestly go 50-50 that they do it and make that work because they do play into that stuff. But all right, I think Drew wins, and he's probably a focus for a world title or for whatever brand he lines up on.
Honestly, Drew's also somebody that they've teased the Cody feud for a while, but they haven't pulled the trigger on it. He's somebody that Cody could come back and say he's coming for Cena and then just turn that into a feud with Drew. And they can kind of do it non-title for a stretch while Cena's doing his summer, here and there, So that's something I kind of have in the back of my mind too, because there's been a lot of, I'm going to come for that title when Cody had it, and then it never ended up happening. So maybe they just do a natural, like, non-title blood feud over the summer as well.
All right, yeah, that Drew definitely has the equity to do it. I just don't. I'd rather cash in that equity somewhere else. But if they're not ready for Cody and Cena, then yeah, perhaps Drew is strong enough to have that direction for Cody, right? Because he is kind of missing two months out now almost. So perhaps we see him at this night's Saturday night's main event, but not obviously in this match, right? So
right.
All right, Mike, shooting sharp every Tuesday, guys. Check them out.
Yeah, this coming week will be a preview of everything going down Memorial Day weekend. There's AEW's got a pay-per-view, and we've got NXT PLE. We've got this Saturday night's main event. So it's going to be like 50-50 recap and preview. And, Memorial Day's loaded. So there's a lot of wrestling coming our way. So looking forward to it.
No doubt. It's a loaded time for the WWE and AEW, no doubt. So, all right, guys. See you in the next one.